Today we'll be talking to Dale about private assets in the retirement fund space. So let's start at the beginning, Dale. What are private assets?
So private assets are private equity or credit investments that are not listed on a public stock exchange like the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. They are investments offered by private companies to investors, and the companies can range from small startup venture businesses to quite large established businesses. And the types of private assets can also vary quite a lot.
So can retirement funds invest in them?
Absolutely, they can. There are some regulatory limits around how much they can invest, and those are because there are risks associated with private assets. And the regulatory limits aim to prevent retirement funds from just being overexposed to those risks.
Dale, do South African retirement funds invest significantly in private assets in South Africa?
There has been a big drive for retirement funds to invest particularly in infrastructure like renewable energy. And this has been quite successful, and one of the reasons that we can actually expect to have some improvement in our electricity availability in the coming years. However, there are obviously also other sectors that importantly also need investment. There are challenges though, and one of these is that you need quite a long time horizon to invest in private assets, and this can scare trustees off. But if we are thinking about retirement fund capital in the way that we should be thinking about it, then the long-term time horizon isn't intimidating. Hopefully also the implementation of the two-pot system is going to encourage trustees to be able to adopt a longer-term approach in their thinking. Another issue is that the contracting and due diligence process around private assets is quite complicated. And understandably, trustees don't really have the capacity and sometimes the expertise to assess these kind of complex contracting arrangements. I do believe, however, Arabella, that this is an area that you've done quite a lot of work in. So what are your comments on that?
Dale, a significant portion of my retirement funds practice has been dedicated to assisting retirement funds in concluding unlisted investments of various kinds. In doing this, I've developed a blueprint for the investment committees and boards of my retirement fund clients that they can use in the early sort of honeymoon phase of concluding an investment or speaking to a product provider. The blueprint forms the essential terms that every retirement fund should care about when faced with an investment proposal, considering an investment proposal, because the terms as well as the commercial features need to be considered together in order for retirement funds to really know what they're actually getting. Dale, what in your view should drive retirement funds to invest in private assets?
There are a few reasons. The main reason is that the listed market is shrinking. This means that the number of companies that you can invest in the listed market has actually fallen, and this has been a local and a global phenomenon. And at the same time, there are many very smart investors that are investing in those companies and researching them. So this means that the opportunity set has become more limited. Another reason is that there are some sectors that are not available in the listed markets. In infrastructure, an important one. There are many infrastructure opportunities, but most of them are in the private market. And there are also other sectors that are important to the South African economy that are not available on listed markets. Another reason is that a large portion of the listed market in South Africa is actually based offshore. So many of the large companies on our stock exchange either have businesses that are based offshore or earn a majority of their revenue from offshore markets. So the reasons stem from both the opportunity set in the listed market being limited, as well as the need for retirement funds to invest back into important sectors of the South African economy. The retirement industry holds an enormous amount of capital, and it's really important that this capital is allocated in a way that serves both retirement fund members as well as broader society. And it's important for trustees to think about how that retirement capital can be invested back into the long-term future of our country. Private assets are not appropriate for all retirement funds, but they should at least be aware of the opportunities, and they should at least have it on their radar. And also, the asset management industry needs to do more to make sure that private assets are more accessible to retirement funds.
Would it be fair to say then that although there are inherent risks and challenges in investing in private assets, that retirement funds should be considering or reconsidering their private asset holdings at this time?
I think that's a good way to summarize it, Arabella.
Thank you, Dale, for your time and insight and joining us today.
Thanks for having me in the Caveat studio.
You're welcome.